Greetings. My name's Harvey Leake, and I want to talk today about the ONWARD project, which is reviving the history of the Rainbow Bridge Monument Valley expedition, which went on in the 1930s, from 1933 to 1937 mainly. And it was a scientific series of expeditions that researched the canyon country and mesa and monument country up near the Arizona's northern border with Utah, up on the Navajo Nation. And it was quite an interesting history that involved my great-grandparents, John and Louisa Wetherill, and that's why I have a role in helping with this project. I've done quite a bit of research on my family and collected a large amount of material that has to do with their time with the Navajo people, and before that in the Mesa Verde country. They were involved with archaeology, exploration, guiding, trading post-operation, and a lot of other things. So it's a very involved history. But some of it was associated with the Rainbow Bridge Monument Valley expedition. And the people involved with the ONWARD project have come here to my house and done some research and found some material that they could use. And so there are a lot of good stories about all of that. My great-grandfather was John Wetherill, and he's the one that actually came up with the idea of having these expeditions. He had been lobbying for a while to create a huge national park up by the border of Utah and Arizona. And he wasn't getting real far with the government, but he thought that an expedition like this could bring information to the government officials that would convince him that a national park was worthy. Unfortunately, the park proposal didn't come to fruition, but regardless of that, the expedition collected much information, scientific and social, took a lot of photos and movies, so there's a lot of material that they left behind that is very interesting and valuable for today's researchers. You might be interested in another video of a talk I gave at the ONWARD Project headquarters a while back, and it's available online, that goes into a lot more detail about my family's involvement in the project. And it also has a lot of historic photos that you might find of interest. I'll show you a few other things in this collection. Navajo textiles that the Wetherills collected, books, and we've got a lot of books. All of these, by the way, either mention the Wetherills or are about them or by them. So there's a wealth of material for researchers to investigate that whole history of the Wetherills' involvement up in the Navajo country, and before that around Mesa Verde. This is a fine painting by one of the expedition members, Martin Gamby, and it was given to my great-grandparents by the artist. There's other artwork as well. These two pieces were painted by J.G.K., who was one of the members of the expedition, and they were tributes to the Wetherill family members who helped out with the expedition. This is Milton Wetherill, John Wetherill's nephew, and you can see it was signed by many of the members of the expedition. And then similarly, this nice picture of Rainbow Bridge at nighttime by the same artist, and the signatures of the 1933 members of that expedition. This is another J.G.K. sketch. It's a portrait of the Navajo man, Max Littlesalt, who was quite influential in the expedition. And on other videos, you'll learn more about him. And here are some other things in the Wetherill archive. I've tried to collect things that the Wetherills owned and bring them back in one place. and you can see photos, artwork. This is a china cabinet that was at the Wetherill Trading Post and Home up in Kayenta, Arizona. And some of the things inside it are Louise's china collection. This is some more of the fine Navajo textiles that the Wetherills owned, and a sand painting reproduction. Here's the storage area, and it's got quite a few things. These books are generally ones that the Wetherills owned, and we've tried to keep those intact so we can know what their reading tastes were. An old saddle they owned, and then files after file of archival material that's useful for researchers and my own use in things I write. In addition to all this, the Wetherills left us thousands and thousands of historic photographs, which we have on file and preserved here, and those have been most useful in telling stories about the past. We have actually found photos of Navajo people that lived in the area when the expedition was going on, and in some cases we've been able to identify the names of those people, which is pretty exciting. Thank you.